All right.
How do I turn it to low?
Pointing at the ground, it's not in your eyes. It's all good. At some point, it's going to go out there. Welcome to Northern Neck Regional Jail, day 1023. One honor. Please give them guidance and wisdom and the clarity. All right, we'll do roll call here, and I'm just going to sit down. I just met another one on Monday. Yeah, that had been here, or I'd learned of another one on Monday. And his name is forgotten his last name, but Brian was here for just a short period of time and is actually. But anyway, day 1023, October 27th. Brandon Fellows, Chris Quaglin, Jonathan Munifo, Jonathan Mellis, Daryl Neely, Enrique Tario, Ethan Nordine, Dominic Pizzola, Zach Reel, Michael Perkins, Barry Ramey, Daniel Rodriguez, Mason Coursing, Marcus Malley, Kenneth Harrelson, Nick Brockhoff, Robert Morse, Jeffrey Brown, Patrick McCoy, Howard Adams, Hosea Kenyon, Jeffrey Sills, Todd Gardner, David Judd, Justin Jersey, Troy Sargent, Ronald Sandlin, William Reed, Ronnie Presley, Cash Kelly, Albuquerque Head, Mark Mazza, Mahila Pryor, Lucas Denny, Kyle Young, Howard Richardson, Thomas Robertson, Ricky Wilden, Mark Ponder, Matthew Miller, Nick Lagerand, Brian Jackson, Adam Jackson, Andrew Taki, Tim Boehner, William Norwood, Jeffrey Sable, Zach Alam, Israel Easterday, James Grant, Matthew Green, Samuel Lazar, Ryan Sampsell, Eric Beauchesne, Curtis Tate, and Shane Woods, and of course, Brian.
That's 57.
And I think there's more. Just there could very well have been. Welcome.
Whoa.
How's your dad?
Kind of day to day.
That's the way it works when the folks start getting along with it too.
So we're all.
Gotta keep the swear words down.
That's why I got here. And we had an appointment, but they had a walker who got in their head.
Here, hold this. It's a science experiment.
People think it's an earthquake.
Yeah, so here's a little something that's off topic of J6, but it's one that I follow. It's from the FLCCC Alliance, the front line. And this is Dr. Pierre Corey and others. They've co-authored and had one in US Today in August. This new opinion piece highlights the January 2020. There's no government-funded
Didn't you have something in the recent bulletin about this is a Farmington or was it Huntington? I'm trying to think of the name of it.
the Westminster and it's very related to the CDC Declaration that have gotten on board with it. So I'm artists, authors, activists, technologists, and academics to warn of increasing coming from the left, right, misinformation, ordinary people, industrial complex. The Westminster Declaration, check it out, really, really amazing. Like I said, only 3.
I read the Declaration a few days ago and I was so impressed, I emailed the authors for permission to reprint. I got a began. Please note the list of. So anyway, I hope you'll get a chance to read.
John, and that's 1,000 hours of Capitol Hill closed circuit TV footage. And he's been reporting on this for some time and just recently came out with prepared, looking at something, for something, whereas Steve went in for a specific purpose.
So, in Tucker's defense, go through the whole thing once, naked. You don't know what you're looking for. And then when you start seeing things, you make notes. And then you go back and you review from various that you're looking for. And so it is kind of painstaking. So as time goes on.
Well, we are. Mike Johnson to 140,000 of the videos. As you know, previously the previous speaker had promised to do that, but he did not do it. He only let out a few dribs and drabs. Well, the new speaker has said he's going to release it in its entirety. And as Maurice, the other commentator, just said, we're just scratching the surface of some of this, because it's one thing to study it briefly, but as was just stated, it takes a lot of forensic examination to really get to the bottom of it. And they've already found some really damning things so far. So yeah, I think it's this is just beginning, and I think this by this fellow Johnson, I always have hard to.
Rick Johnson?
No, the new speaker.
Oh,
Mike Johnson. I always forget his last name, but anyway, I think that's going to expedite the whole process, because there were a lot of people behind Jim Jordan. But what you have to understand is, if Jordan had done that, he would have had to give up the chairmanship of the Judiciary Committee. Now, Mike Johnson was the number 2 guy, and he probably would have taken Jordan's spot. But the big deal is MAGA. MAGA has basically taken back over the House of Representatives, and I think it's going to be a game changer.
I agree with you. I went back and I reviewed a few of the videos from the committee meetings with Mike Johnson in there, and you know, you got to go back and look at these things, because a lot of us were so inflamed with the goings on of the day early on, we weren't necessarily paying attention to some of these more important things, and Mike Johnson was tearing people up a couple years ago in committee. So if you get the opportunity, I encourage everybody to go out there, find him on Rumble, C-SPAN. C-SPAN's probably the best place to go though. But he was tearing them up.
Yeah, by way of background, Johnson is he majored in constitutional law, and of course he also has his law degree. And as Maurice was just saying, if you go back and look at some of these congressional hearings, he is probably the single best interrogator, with the possible exception of John Kennedy of Louisiana. But they're the 2 best by far. He was one of the big leaders in questioning the stolen election. Some of his interviews are just epic. He had Merrick Garland stuttering, and I mean, red-faced. And this guy, I think the reason he's not so well known is he's low profile. He's only been in the Congress for 6 years. He came in 2016 with Trump, but he is the face of MAGA. In fact, he's already been nicknamed MAGA Mike Johnson, and I would have to say that's entirely appropriate.
Yeah, there's been chatter going on, you know, on the people get inflamed over some of the craziest stuff. You know, they said, well, he mentioned Ukraine funding and Israel funding in the same breath, and everybody kind of lost their cookies on that. And I was reading an article written on Truth Social today. It took at 1,000 words a post, or 1,000 characters a post. Now it took this gal 4 or 5 posts to drop her thought, and it was pretty good. She points out that, first of all, he didn't say he was willing to, but let's just go with it. She's a real estate agent. She describes how she had a client come through that wanted to buy an entire street of rundown properties. And she's like, no, you don't want to buy an entire street. There's all kinds of legal pitfalls. And this gal says, well, my board wants me to buy it. My husband wants me to buy it. These people want me to buy this thing. I'm going to buy this whole street. And at that point, the real estate agent's job becomes mitigating all the risks. So they came up with 3 business profiles, and they pursued all of them in parallel. And next thing you know, this gal says, that bought it all, calls her up halfway through, and ultimately it was successful, but halfway through she calls her up and says, you were right, and me and everybody else that wanted me to buy this street was wrong, and thank God you put together a plan that worked. And her bottom line point is that if his intentions were what everybody interprets, to just go ahead and provide the funding, you got to know that he's putting in all these other words in there to mitigate any fallout. And that was really the bottom line point, is that he's not an idiot. He knows exactly what he's doing. He managed to outsmart McCarthy. He called for an immediate vote. McCarthy opposed it, but he got it anyways. Stop it. And that's how he ended up getting in there. And it was his doing. It was his timing, his call.
You're talking about the new speaker, right?
Yes.
All right, cool. I want to go back to Steve Baker for a minute. So I've been following him, one of the 5 journalists who got 41,000 hour access, and he did go in there with a mission because he sat through many of the J6 trials, and he heard things that made him wonder, okay, I want to check that out. So this is an article in Blaze Media. Steve Baker published this Tuesday, 10/24/23. United States Capitol Police Officer Harry Dunn has been celebrated as a hero for his actions on January 6, 2021, and his public statements since. Earlier this year, President Joe Biden awarded him the Presidential Citizens Medal to great fanfare. But the story he told that first made headlines now appears to be an obviously disprovable lie. When Dunn alleged he was called a N-word numerous times during the riot at Capitol on January 6, almost the entirety of the media repeated his claim without question. It features prominently in his new memoir, Standing My Ground. I talked about it last vigil. Standing My Ground, a Capitol police officer's fight for accountability and good trouble after January 6. What a title. It was published on Tuesday. So seemingly no other words in the English language when spoken by someone other than a black comedian or a rapper evokes a more viscerally negative response. So taboo is the use of the N-word that when anyone so much as quotes the word in a news story or interview, it either must be redacted, as is Blaze Media's policy, or euphemized. In Standing My Ground, Dunn recounts how he and another black officer were approached by BuzzFeed reporter Emmanuel Felton to tell their stories about that harrowing day in which they were forced to endure racist abuse, including repeatedly being called the N-word, as they tried to do their job of protecting the Capitol building. Felton's story was published on January 9th, 3 days after the riot. Dunn appears in the article as an unnamed source. According to Dunn's BuzzFeed account, I sat down with one of my buddies, another black guy, and tears just started to stream down my face. I said, what the F, man? Is this America? What the F just happened? I'm so sick and tired of this shit. Soon he was screaming so that everyone in the rotunda, including his white colleagues, could hear what he had just gone through. These are racist ass terrorists, he yelled out. I got called a N-word 15 times today, the veteran officer shouted in the rotunda to no one in particular. Trump did this, and we got all of these effing people in our department that voted for him. How the F can you support him? I cried for about 15 minutes and I just let it out. Dunn explains in his book how other Capitol Police officers recognized enough detail in the BuzzFeed story to identify him as one of the unnamed sources. and he writes that he began to fear he would be outed. I'm going to skip ahead a little bit. So Dunn's first televised appearance was on Good Morning America on February 22nd, 2021, with ABC News Chief Justice correspondent Pierre Thomas. Dunn told Thomas that a large group of protesters started talking to him. They were saying how Joe Biden did not win the election and nobody voted for him. He said, "I voted for Joe Biden. Does my vote not count?" Dunn went on to describe a couple in the crowd. And his girlfriend, she had on a pink MAGA shirt. She said, "Hey, this N-word voted for Joe Biden, guys. Hey, everybody, this N-word voted for Joe Biden." Everybody joined in with them. And once the Capitol had been cleared of protesters, Dunn told Thomas, he shared with his close friend, "I got called an N-word a couple dozen times today." I'm going to stop at that. But there is no evidence whatsoever of anyone using the N-word that day, especially to Dunn, and he goes on to describe people in pink MAGA hats and pink shirts that are nowhere there. So this is where the video footage is coming back to haunt these people's testimony. He goes on to talk in here, and I mentioned about this before, Officer Lazarus, who came up and also corroborated Dunn's story about being in an altercation. Steve Baker proved that he was on the other side, testified what he did, so he perjured himself. Now back to the speaker. Now this is where I think this stuff starts to come out.
That's exactly right. I believe that Mike Johnson has been sitting quietly on the sidelines, and it's funny because he's got a force. He's a force to be. A couple of others out there talking about him. This is kind of like the double doors are opening wide. You add to that some paperwork that was filed in the insurrection case for Trump yesterday. I don't know if you all caught that. But I do believe we've graduated from drip to flood. It's about to start happening.
Yeah, as far as the Dunn affair that Tom was just discussing, it goes even beyond that. One of the other central contentions that Dunn had is that he was being menaced and he was in fear of physical harm. Now, to put this in perspective, Mr. Dunn is approximately 6'6", and I would say weighs in the neighborhood of 300 pounds. He had a fully automatic weapon, and as the tape showed, not only did no one harass him, they noticed that he was freaking out, to use their words, and a band of Oath Keepers formed a cordon around him protectively to keep people away from him. So they affirmatively took steps to protect Dunn. No one harassed him, no one threatened him. It's all a complete fabrication. Getting back to Maurice's point on the floodgates opening, and I agree 100%, not only with Johnson and where we now get all the tapes, but if you remember when they decided to formally open the impeachment inquiry, that gives them further investigatory powers. For instance, that allows them to not only go over corporate accounts, but now they can delve into all of the Biden's personal banking accounts. And they've already disclosed some amazing things, including the recent disclosure of a $200,000 check from Jim Biden to Joe. And they say there's I think this could be if it's not the beginning of the end, it's certainly the end of the beginning.
Absolutely. You know, you got to think about those personal records, bank account records, and taxes and everything, and all those calls that everybody had back in the day. Trump, you've got to do this, and he fought them all the way to the Supreme Court, only to get the Supreme Court to rule that, yeah, you're going to have to give this stuff up. And now look where it's taken them. He set up precedent, and now they're going to use it. And there you go.
Well, and the fact that he keeps going up every time he's indicted, all of these myths about Trump are being shredded. How many years did we hear about if we ever get his tax returns, he is in deep trouble. He'll be in prison the rest of his life. Woe is he. Well, guess what? A little scoundrel just got convicted of leaking those. They've been gone over in depth, and you know, we haven't heard a word about it since. So obviously, there was nothing in his tax returns. Also, I think most of you already know, in the New York civil case, the lead testimony by Mr. Cohen, his former attorney.
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Cohen has now gotten up under the threat of perjury and getting in trouble himself, and has admitted that Trump never asked him to manipulate figures and never did anything of that nature, but they still refuse to drop the case. So I'll let you make your own conclusions.
You know, you bring up an interesting point. I remember there was cases that were led by a guy with the last name of Durham, you may recall. And so I'm wondering, I'm not an attorney, so I don't know. So the curiosity that I have is how much of this is going to bleed backwards on those cases, and is a retrial going to happen?
I think we have a call coming in.
The Washington, D.C. Central Detention Facility. To accept this call, press 0. To refuse this call, hang up or press. Balance is $88.41. This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hello, this is Tom.
Hey Tom, what's going on? It's Chris.
Chris, how are you tonight?
I just figured, pretty good. I just figured I'd set you guys up, and we're gonna do, I guess, we can BS a little bit if you guys want, and then James is gonna call in, and we're gonna start passing the phone. Is that okay?
That sounds great. And pass the word around if anybody wants to give us a 2-minute synopsis of their stay at Northern Neck Regional Jail. We can put that to good use.
Yeah, we're gonna. We have a list. We have a list over here. We're gonna have Kate, Brandon, myself, Grant, Baki, Scooter, and I think that's it. That's here.
All right.
That's also been at Northern Neck. But so I just figured I'd let you guys know. Now, week number 4, still no AC, MRI. Still hobbling around. So it swells up every day about twice the size. So that's awesome. And but because of I don't know why exactly, but I do have a November, I think 9th meeting with the judge. So I'm sure he's not very pleased with everything that's been going on, but I need to get that sent over. Supposedly I have a public defender, or maybe not a public defender, but a court-appointed lawyer.
Okay.
And I don't know what's in store, but I just couldn't. I thank you guys for typing up the or transcribing what I've been saying over at the other vigil.
Yep.
And I couldn't not give my 2 cents before this was done.
Hey Chris, this is Cheryl Johnson. Can you hear me? Chris,
Yes, ma'am.
This is Cheryl Johnson. So I've been the one that's been typing up your statements, and almost done. I know you had a double last night, so we ran out of time before coming to the done and sent to her by this weekend.
Thank you so much for doing that.
I think we're about 16 pages going so far, so we'll see how it goes. But but doing our best, and it will be done.
No, I appreciate it. This was all done because of basically the DC jail not allowing me to send this in pro se. I don't know why. but they will not allow me to send this thing in pro se. They won't let me print it up. They won't let me. They are following my case so hard that they will not let me get any information out of the jail. I know why, because they're scared to death about getting sued, and they should be. But you know, it's the same thing with Northern Neck. I eventually need to get over to Northern Neck and get all of my files. Even though I have way more files than Northern Neck has. But I need to get my full record over at Northern Neck printed out, and that's going to cost a small portion. So I need to figure out what I got in my Gives and Go and get it printed out, because they're charging me like 40 cents a page or something like that. 25 cents a page, 40 cents a page, something. But it's you know, I need to get all of the, basically, not yet, after this. But it's, this whole thing is a disaster. You know, it's, no one says that jail's supposed to be fun. You know what I mean? No one's saying that. But you got to be safe, and you've got to have, you know, people like Ted Hull should not be running a jail. You know, he broke so many federal guidelines. I mean, hell, if you want to even take it into, they're not allowed to throw me in the hole as a federal detainee. Now, how long has he had a federal contract? He should know that. And that he doesn't know that, and he doesn't, but they just don't care. And it's not just me. They throw everyone in there. They beat the crap out of them, they throw you in the hole. They let you, you know, they let you recuperate, and then they bring you back into population. I mean, they're running that jail like it's a mom and pop, you know, organization, but they're taking serious amounts of federal funding. So, you know, you gotta, if you want to, you know, get paid like the big boys, you gotta play with the big boys, and that means having, you know, the proper people there and the proper medical staff. And, you know, he's collecting all this extra money, you know, because of being a medical facility. That is the worst medical I've ever had in my, ever. I mean, that's like DC being called a medical facility. The only halfway decent medical facility jail that I've been to is actually, believe it or not, and they suck too, but was Essex. At least there they had, the doctors were horrible, but at least they had doctors on staff 24/7. You know, not a doctor that shows up. You can't be a medical facility and have one LPN on staff, not have a nursing staff 24/7. And have a doctor that shows up once a week.
That once a week is 1 hour a week because it's 4 hours a month. We asked that question and we were told that in an open board meeting.
That's insane. That right there is a lawsuit. Like, how can you, and I don't even care who gets the money, right? I'm not saying it's a lawsuit for me. I'm just saying the U.S. government, when they get sued, is going to go back after Northern Neck Regional Jail. That's what's going to wind up, you know, have to happen.
And the counties.
Or the people are going to have to, you know, go back after them. Because you can't say that, oh, well, we meet the federal standards and then not meet the federal standards. You know, you're supposed to meet the federal standards for food, for safety. Yeah, there's another question that you guys should ask, Ted Hull, and it talks about his rooming federal inmates with state inmates. That's their go-to. They said, and I have it in writing, that they usually mix a state inmate or a local inmate with a federal inmate, because they don't want there to be problems. Well, there is a problem. You're not supposed to be housed The feds are supposed to be housed with feds. State is supposed to be housed with state. You know, they're not supposed to mix those two. If those two, if state and feds get into a fight, and the state people have a lawsuit, the fed people have a lawsuit, because they shouldn't even be next to each other.
There's cross liability.
Yeah, I believe, and common sense to me says that they're doing it because if they say, oh, we have feds in 90% of the jail, whatever, then we get X amount of dollars. It's all about dollars and cents with them. There's someone who I really want. Have you guys ever reached out to, what's his name? I have his name right here, actually. You guys need to reach out to Andre and Gerard Bazemore. Have you guys reached out to Gerard Bazemore yet?
No, I don't know that name.
You guys need to reach out to him. I will text someone. I'll text Heather over the number. Gerard Bazemore was one of the three. He's from Baltimore, I believe, or had a DC case. Gerard Bazemore got the crap beat out of him, and I met him in the hole. He was one of three people, African Americans, that got the crap beat out of them while they were in the hole. Then I got thrown down in there, and that was the worst thing that they could have done, because we started talking and talked probably solid for about 4 or 5 days straight. And they beat the crap out of all three of them, one at a time. One of the guys had MS. They broke his nose, they broke his nose, they broke his eye socket, kicked his 2 front teeth in, broke his collarbone, and the guy had MS, and he didn't even refuse to cuff up. That was the whole thing. They didn't even ask him. They just went full out and just ran into his cell with a team and beat the crap out of him. They throw you on the ground and then they just beat you on, and then, oh, you're resisting. Beat the crap out of you. Well, he took a couple boots to the face, and it did a number on him.
Hey, Chris, this is John Hayes. How are you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, John.
I don't know if you have...
Hey, John, how's it going?
Good. I hate to ask how you are because I know, but... In the current edition of the Sentinel, we exposed something on the website, a request for proposals, where they admit that there are several areas of the jail that are not covered by cameras, and we've got that in writing. But what would help us in our further reporting, if you can give some of the names of the people involved in the beatings, and especially the part that Mr. English, Captain English, played. Do you have any of that information?
Gerard Bazemore has a lot of that. He actually said he was afraid to stay in the hole because the hole they have audio, two-way audio inside the vents, and that's how we communicated back and forth. We're through the vents, so they were listening to everything that we were saying. But Gerard Bazemore 100% proof that Ted Hall was taking money off the top and bribing inmates, and especially federal inmates that had money, taking bribes as far as letting them see certain people and letting them, have certain privileges and doing this and doing that. He's someone who you definitely need to speak to. I thought I had my dad give you his information months ago, but he's definitely. I have his mom, so I'll pass that along.
Hi, Debbie.
Another person is
Hi, Pam.
someone named
Hi,
Andre. There's a couple local people that I won't say over here, but I'll talk to you in private. but there's a couple local guys
It's
who
Christopher
have
Quadlin speaking.
who have all the skinny on that stuff. A lot of it's in my notes. John Gross is working on getting my notes all digitized, and then they're going to be really easy to flip flop. But all of I have 1,000 pages worth of notes, handwritten notes from Northern Net. I have beatings down to the minute. So where guards came in and they would, oh, come on, cuff up, and everyone knew as soon as you cuffed up, you were done. Because Northern Neck...
You have 1 minute remaining.
You cuff up nicely, and then they beat you. It's what they did there. I'm curious on, it was always a revolving door in Northern Neck as far as guards. So I'm curious on who's actually still there. But there's definitely a few bad apples there. And then the problem is they're the ones who teach the new recruits. So everything from their training program down is completely wrong, especially for the federal system. But it's not even right for the state system. I can guarantee you that.
They've stopped publishing the names of the people that come and go. They used to make that a regular meeting agenda item at the monthly board meetings, and they stopped doing it once John published it in the Sentinel.
Yeah, of course they did. That, and then the other big one is the medical. Medical there.
Thank you for using Global Tellink.
She got us.
What's her name, Gertie?
I've actually got some of Chris's notes already. And that's why I think, as I say, I've already got some of Chris's notes, and that's why I recognize that name, I believe. But in the current edition, we talk about some of the ways they try to cover their tracks. And you have to remember, one of our primary whistleblowers was here from 98 to 2003. And he's given me extensive testimony as to the way they falsify records and those types of things. So this has been going on ever since Hull took over, and to a lesser degree before he took over. But it's just accelerated. And we do know how much they're skimming. I would say about 6 months ago, one of the meetings, I think several of the people present here were there, he said that the new reforms being suggested, in other words, following the rules, would cost them $1.7 million a year. So if you think this is a small-time skimming operation, you are mistaken. And make no error, this is being paid for by depriving these people. They don't have any of the programs. They still don't have a chaplain. They're never allowed to exercise. The medicine is a joke. I've been corresponding with the mother of an inmate in here currently that has been waiting a month and a half for dental care. He's in severe pain. One of the other inmates has severe mental problems, and he cannot get treatment. So this is not just the J6ers. They're all mistreated. The J6ers just got a little bit of extra on what I've discovered. They were pushed and coerced by the FBI. And I'm not going to take the time to go through the whole chronology, but the day of Ryan Samsel's beating, I have constructed a timeline, and I can prove that he was neglected. And in fact, I haven't received it yet, but I'm going to get a copy of the daily log where I can prove how long he was forced to wait after the assault before he got treatment. So anyway, a lot of this is going to keep coming out, and I think it's going to accelerate. And something I think those of us know, but you all need to know, is this is only going to pick up steam once these guys are sentenced and they start going into the civil lawsuits. Because the jail board and the senior employees do have certain exemptions, government exemptions, but because I don't want to get into a lot of legalese, but because they're not incorporated, they cannot be sued as an entity. But Every individual can be sued. Now, these may be civil lawsuits. Nobody may go to jail, but it'll bankrupt every one of them. And maybe some of these counties that are looking the other way, and as their chairman loves to say, turning a blind eye, maybe they'll regret that before too long when people start having to write checks. Because don't kid yourself. One of the attorneys I'm working with has been to court with them. They've lost several times, and they've been forced to pay settlements. But because those are confidential settlements, they sign an agreement, they can't talk about it. So this myth about they've never been proven guilty of any of this is just that. It's a myth. And just wait till you see what's up next.
Well, just checking the smooth. I like that toy.
Yeah, this is the new microphone. It gives you your voice.
Saying they deeper is quality.
I thought you were just eating more testosterone.
Yeah.
And next we have Chris Quaglin.
Hello, this is a free call from
James Grant.
an inmate at the Washington, D.C. Central Detention Facility. This call is from a correction facility and is subject to
James
monitoring
Grant.
and recording. Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Hey, James.
Hey, Tom.
How are you?
Good to talk to you.
Yeah, you too. You too.
Yeah, I guess I'm supposed to be calling in to kind of say how terrible Northern Neck is. And can you hear me all right?
I hear you fine. You know, I know it's
Okay.
a traumatic memory for you, my friend. You always, you know, I can hear it in your voice when you talk about it. So it's only if you want to, but yeah, we'll be glad to hear it.
It is, no, yeah. And I think it's kind of cathartic to get it out and talk to people who are willing to listen. So, yeah, I have no problem talking about it. I'm kind of struggling through a little bit of a headache right now, which is, reminds me of getting headaches at Northern Neck. You get a headache at Northern Neck and you are screwed. They do sell unhomocysteine Tylenol, but I think it's almost $1. It's probably gone up. It's almost $1 for a pack of 2, but that was an absolute commodity going around there. If you had a headache, and you definitely got a lot of headaches there because you don't get wrecked, you don't move, and there's so much salt in the water, it just builds up and you get these horrible sodium headaches. I actually went on suicide watch once just to get off the block because it was so hot and my head hurt so bad, and it was colder in suicide watch. And I remember it to this day. It was a good decision at the time because it was much colder in suicide watch. And I guess his name's Ted Hall, and I was actually, because I was telling my lawyer how terrible Northern Neck was, and he said, oh yeah, I know, I had clients that were there. And apparently and this is my my lawyer, Robert Feitel, so you can confirm any of this with him. Somehow about something that an inmate was complaining about how, and had told my lawyer how terrible Northern Neck was and all that, and he got wind of it, Ted Hall, and apparently, and this came out through an email, he said, oh, well, he thinks it's bad now. Wait till he realizes how good he's had it this whole time. He's going to realize, just how bad it really can be. So, that's my little spiel for today. I'm going to pass it off to the next guy, but, thank you guys for listening.
Hey, listen, good to see you. I saw you Monday, Tuesday. That was the only days I could get there, but I'm going to try to get back, all right?
Zach on.
Hey, how's it going? This is Tom.
Hey, who am I speaking with?
This is Tom Jeffries.
Okay. You're at Northern Neck.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yes.
I'm getting confused here.
Sorry, Tom.
Hey, yeah, we're at Northern Neck. We're outside right now.
All right, so
Zach, well, listen here. It's your minute, man. It's your voice. You tell us whatever you want to tell us about. If you have something you want to talk about, your time that you were here, Whatever you want to tell us.
Yo, I was at Northern Neck for 16 months.
Wow, 16. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yo, they put me in this pod called K-Pod.
right.
And like, all right, so I got a problem with K-Pod because I thought about what I was gonna say before I got on here, and I wanted to tell you guys that Northern Neck, all right, creates a hostile environment for the inmates at the facility. Between the inmates are forced to become hostile to each other because of a negligent environment created by the jail personnel.
Yeah, that makes sense.
All right. Now how it goes is in the morning. Okay, they put the cleaning supplies in the pod. All right, they throw them in there like 5 in the morning. It's a broom, a dustpan, a mop bucket with cleaning solution, a toilet brush, and a brush. All right. Now this is to clean a pod. That's like probably like, all right, I'm gonna say it's like, all right, we're gonna say 200, maybe like 400 square feet, and that's for upwards of 50 to live in this environment. All right. Now, they have no trustees at this facility. Every facility that I've ever been to, all right, has had a trustee, has had a system of trustees where the trustees, all right, they are provided incentives to clean and to take care of the pod and or unit that they live in. Okay? Now, there's no incentive structure at all at Northern Neck. There's no trustees, and there's nobody that's being paid to clean and take care of the environment that 50 men have to live in 400 square feet.
So how does that
Now,
Jack, so how does that work then? How do who gets a hold of the cleaning materials and what do you do?
basically, okay, nobody cleans until the person that's the most concerned about hygiene just says, fuck it, I'm gonna clean every fucking day until he gets tired of cleaning every day, and then he tries to recruit a group of men to clean with him, even though they have no incentive to do so, other than the fact that they hate living in the disgust of other fucking human beings.
Hey, Zach, and we'll tell you, we don't edit this stuff and it's live, so if you could keep the F words out, I would appreciate it, buddy.
I got you.
Yeah, no problem. Keep going.
Okay, so then what happens is, once people get tired of cleaning after other grown men who don't want to clean because there's absolutely no incentive to clean, because they take advantage of other people who are nice, okay? Basically, they say, why do I have to do it? Because there's other people that are going to just do it for me, and I'm just going to live off of them. So then what happens is there's only one incentive in the whole pod. It's the television. The television is the only incentive. There's no money. There's two televisions for 50 people. So then what you do is you have to demand more television time consistent with whoever cleans the most. So then what you do is you have to run up on people and tell them, look, if you don't clean, then you're not watching the television. That's how it goes at Northern Neck. And when people don't agree with you, then you have to lay down the law. You literally have to start regulating and enforcing how the fucking cleaning situation goes on. I'm out. Alright guys, so, hey, how's it going? This is Quagland. I'm doing my 2-minute thing. Hey, so, my big thing is, I'm doing just my 2 minutes. My big thing is this, Ted Hull, has absolutely zero medical. Hold on one second. Hey Tom, this is Brian Jackson. How you doing?
Hey, how you doing, Brian? Good. Good to hear your voice.
Hey, I'm sorry about that, whatever Zach Alam said to y'all, whatever he was cussing about. I just overheard him yelling and screaming. And I didn't know he was on the vigil. So I definitely would not have put him on there, and I didn't know that he was going on. But I apologize for that. Whatever was said, I don't know. But
Yeah, I told him, I warned him about it, so it's a family show, you know what I mean?
right. All right, well, I apologize for that. But it won't happen again, I promise you that.
All right, thanks, appreciate it.
All right, Tom. Bye.
See ya.
Yeah, sorry about that, Tom. Problem with these tablets is someone grabs them and starts walking away with it. And no one hears what they're saying because there's so many echoes in here. So anyway, my big things with Northern Neck, obviously, I lost 60 pounds there. They kept things from the marshals. I lost 30 pounds the first 3 weeks. I told them the very, very first day, and I have detailed documentation of all this. How you doing, Mr. Ted Hull? It's Quagland. It's all going to come out very, very shortly. I know it has been. But Ted Hull was told the first week that, listen, I got to get out of here. You know what I mean? I've already lost 10 pounds. I contacted, or I was given COVID because everyone was thrown into a pod that was 80 plus people, instead of having the proper, whatever you call it, lockdown for a week. Yeah, quarantine for a week or whatever it was. They just threw you in J-Pod, which was 80 people. 80 people was, so many people were sick there. That happened. I wound up losing 30 pounds the first 3 weeks. He took my phone privileges away from me, even though I wasn't convicted of any sort of jailhouse crime. That happened the very first week after I contacted the newspaper, and the first Epic Times article came out. He refused me lawyer visits. He refused me video lawyer visits. After I got into the fight, he said that first it was my doing that I started the fight, which was absolutely false. Even the hearing officer gave me time over my head for the fight because she said that it wasn't my fault. And then they turned around, Luna turned around, and Captain English turned around, and I met those 3 guys that got the crap beat out of them. Again, it all starts from the top. It starts from Ted Hull, it starts from Captain English, Captain Luna, and then goes down. And they need to be held responsible. And if you guys, I would love it if you guys were there. I think it's like November 9th and November 7th. Tell anyone who wants to come. I know it's a work day, but if they can, a lot of things are going to be said about Northern Neck and everything that happened, because whether it was Joe McBride's fault or not, I don't know, but things should have came out and they didn't. So that's why I went on my rant and I'm writing these 23 pages because it needs to be exposed.
It does.
And I don't care.
Yeah, it does need to be exposed, and we're getting it out little bit by bit, but I think it's going to be critical over the next month or two.
Yeah, like I said, the medical, he has no right to run the medical department. The doctor there is scared of Ted Hall. The story goes that he went against Ted Hall once years ago, and it didn't wind up well for him. So I don't know if Ted Hall cut him off, and then he wasn't the doctor for a while. I'm not sure what happened exactly, but that was the story. So when you're trying,
You have 1 minute remaining.
when you're trying to be a doctor and give someone, even the care that you think that they should, that they need, and then you have 2 hands tied behind your back, you just can't do it. It's a dangerous environment. People will continue to get hurt there if Ted Hall has his way. And like I said, 99% of this stuff gets buried. It gets swept under the rug. So, with him being there, I could see once the house of cards starts to fall, it's just going to go. The problem is he's very, very, he has a lot of power there. The marshals love him, especially the marshals over in, anyway, I will call you guys back with Tate, Brian Jackson, and Brandon. And I guess that'll wrap it up.
Sounds good.
Oh, good thing we have a full moon covered in clouds. Our lighting system went down. We got to recharge our batteries. The ghosts and goblins are out. And the spiders and...
Howdy.
Hi,
I'm Tom.
I'm Heidi. I think I spoke to you on the phone though.
Well, John,
We were waiting.
then we got a lot of true evidence for all the witnesses, and now we get Hillary Kent elected. Because we work with her on.
That would have been a little while ago then, huh?
Yeah, it was that long ago.
We try to get the governor, somebody to be involved. The attorney general, somebody got to do something, and then take it to the feds.
The problem is on the state level, as I was saying before you got here, is Northern Neck Regional Jail is not incorporated.
Right.
So they can't be sued as an entity.
Right.
But that doesn't mean you can't sue the counties or
Right, exactly.
or whatever. So I think going through the state's going to have limited. Now, where I think the state can help is the bill in there now to reform some of this.
Right.
She can help push that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that she can do to help us. I know I was talking to Rob Whitman the other day. He called in response to a question of mine, and he was saying that he does try to help. In fact, he mentioned he passed along the copies to the other congressmen and all. But he's a good example. He's on the
Is this not working?
Armed Services Committee.
Right.
So he doesn't have as much as the guys on the judiciary that are actively doing it.
Right.
He can pass things on, but he can't interview people, whatever.
Right.
So anyway.
Hello, this is a prepaid call from an inmate at the Washington, D.C. Central Detention Facility. To accept this call, press 0. Your current balance is $86.71. Subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using Global Tel-Link.
Hey Tom, this is Brian Jackson again. How you doing?
Hey, how's it going, Scooter?
It's going. Sorry about that little episode a minute ago.
That's all right.
Whatever.
No worries.
Okay. So about this Northern Neck Jail, there's a couple of little complaints about Northern Neck Jail. One of them, you have COs there that are family related, people that are related, brothers, sisters, whatever, and they act kind of like a gang inside the Northern Neck Jail. Like, for instance, the Hodge brothers. You got one that goes around. You have 3 three of them. You got one of them that goes around writing cases on you, disciplinary cases. And then you have the other Hodge brother that investigates the case. So then you go back again for the third time. So you get wrote up, then the other Hodge brother investigates the case, and then you go to disciplinary, which is Sergeant Hodge, the other brother. So you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. It's a lose-lose situation, so it's set up for failure regardless. So there's several COs in that jail that are family, and they all work together. They've been doing this for years before they're in jail. And also, the food. So the food, when you know the guys that work in the kitchen, like say the cornbread or the cake, they make it a day or two ahead of time, and it sits in a hallway on a rack, about 7 foot tall. It's got rack, cornbread, whatever it is, and where they put it is infested with rats, and rats crawl all over it, and sometimes, like for instance, this one guy bit into a piece of cornbread, another piece of cake, yellow cake, and there was like a sluggish black slug inside the cake, and there's literally been rat feces on top of the cake, as you know, people are eating it, they're spotting it. And also we found, when my brother was there, he found a cricket in his beans, rocks in your beans, complete still. But
Did you say crickets and rocks?
crickets and rocks. Like there's been, like they have literally served us trays, and roaches would crawl off of them, literally. Like I stopped eating that place. Oh my God! Probably the first 2 weeks I was there, I refused to eat because when I first got there, they had this chicken patty, and when you bite into it, it's crunchy. Like not crunchy because it's fried, crispy, but the inside of it was like bristle and bone. It's horrible. So I refused to eat. So I damn near starved for the first 2 weeks I was there until I got commissary. And then for the last, 7, 8 months that I was there, I literally lived on commissary chips and soup the whole time I was there. And when I got there, I was right about 205 pounds. I just come out of the gym right when I got arrested. But when I left there, I was 240, almost 250 again. Just from eating commissary, because it had to survive. Yeah? I refuse to eat food there. Shit I've seen on, excuse my language, but things I've seen come off in trays and the stories you hear about in the kitchen, I would not do it. But those are my complaints. I'm gonna pass this over to Curtis Tate. It just come from there. So thank y'all for listening.
Thank you, Brian. God bless you.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Hey guys, this is Tate.
Hey Curtis, this is Tom. How are you, man?
How y'all doing? Good. How are you? Good. Yeah, so I actually just came from Northern about 2.5 weeks ago.
You don't hear him?
No.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah, I just came from Northern about 2.5 weeks ago. I spent roughly 3 weeks there. And just entering into there, it's a Mayberry, Podunk County Jail, where eventually, like, they didn't give any shower shoes. And when you're in an environment like this, like that, that's kind of imperative to have. But I was shocked by it. I was like, what am I supposed to do? They're like, we'll figure it out. So that predicament will lead to you like an athlete's foot or whatever you pick up from a shower salt floor. And eventually to the medical issue. I got 2 infections in my eye upon getting there. So literally within a day and a half, I had a cut eye grow on my left eyelid, and then I had another eye infection where my eye was puffy and red. I never got any kind of treatment for that whatsoever. I put in a request form after request form after request form. Never got any kind of treatment around that.
So they never even looked at you. They never even looked at your eye.
Never, not one time. And to get a request form, it was almost like an act of Congress. Like I would ask, over 2 or 3 days for a request form every CO. Usually multiple times from the same CO. Would never get a request form. So there was a case of that. With the food, like, I had a couple instances of just like, just overt problems with the food, such as like almost breaking my tooth off with but it was the lack of food that you got. Like I just bear things that were like, if it wasn't for the other guys who I was there with, who kind of looked out for the commissary and stuff off their tray, I would have made it really bad. And then just overall, I think necessary conditions of this place was next level. I mean, you had to fight for any kind of broom or mop or spray. The county office here, I had to do all of that. But I had been through relationships and all of the dishes from there. Just so everybody's actually not around there. There's the guards and military acts were hostile and, just angry people all together. They would get screaming matches with other inmates and things of that nature. I go on and on. But yeah, that's kind of the overt complaints that I had kind of through the minutes.
So Curtis, there's a lot of background noise. I don't know if it's different tonight, or it almost sounds like there's some kind of interference.
I'm sorry, what was that?
We're getting a lot of interference.
It's hard to hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm sorry. What was the last thing you heard?
Well, we didn't hear a lot actually, because it's like this noise in the background it's blocking things out.
Okay, can you hear me better now?
A little bit better. It's in the line.
Okay. Yeah, just to kind of summarize everything I said. Hold on, we're gonna walk in. Just to kind of summarize everything I just said. The food, you should be able to hear me a lot better now.
Yes, you do.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, to kind of summarize everything I just said, with the I had, that was obvious to me was the portions that you got were bare bones. If it wasn't for the other guys who I would have been there with, I would have been starving to death. I mean, seriously, the portions were minute at best. Almost broke my tooth a couple times, on either bones that were left in, or like what Scooter was saying, like it was like pebbles almost that were in the food. The guards were active, were agitated all the time. It seemed like you never got any kind of, I would ask for a request form after request form from them. It would take me days sometimes to even get a request form from them. And then just the overall living conditions of the place was foul. Very dirty, very unkept. You had complain and get a group effort to even get any clean the supplies in the pod. So yeah, that was kind of my experience there. But yeah, I hope that gives a little bit of insight.
Yeah, it does, and it's a similar story. The request forms, we've been hearing about that since day one. That sounds like that's just an out and out, just a stall tactic to make you just go away. If you have to ask for it over and over again, you finally just give up.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's all plan and design, you know, to get you mentally and physically weak, to where you kind of give up on all aspects.
Yep. Sounds like the MO. Well, I'm glad you're in a better place than this.
Yeah, very much so. Taki's here. I'm going to hand it over to him, but thank you guys. I appreciate it.
All right, Curtis. God bless you.
Bye-bye. God bless you. All right. How's it going, Mr. Jeffries?
Hey, real good to hear you.
Yes, sir. Hope everything's going on out there. Thank you all for still holding it down for us in our name and the guys that are still suffering through that hellhole there. Coming from me, sure you're aware, my medical fight was the biggest thing that I went through there. It's been my fight that I've gone through at every single location I've been at, but same thing, you know, request forms, slow walking, not wanting to take care of stuff, making it take, you know, a month to even get seen on a small thing. And then my stuff being larger ticket items, you might get seen about it in a few weeks, but then it's going to be a month or two before they even actually try and address anything. You know, and if you need outside medical, that's probably going to be quite a while to take care of that. Which, being a federal inmate, doesn't make much sense because the marshals pay for the stuff. My stuff was already essentially pre-approved because I was supposed to already have process of getting all my stuff approved from the marshals. They could have just done it. Of course, they slow walked everything long enough that finally they shipped me back to Lewisburg when they took all of us out of there, so I never even got any of my medical issues taken care of. As well, you know, the broken hand that I came into the place with, they took the splint from me. My hand got broken again, having to defend myself in a fight before I was even completely healed. And they did nothing about it then. You know, took an x-ray of it and saw how much worse it was than when I came in, but that was it. Still never even got it fixed when I went back to Lewisburg anyways, and it's completely healed up and angled now, so I'll hopefully be able to get some surgery when I get out to rectify some of it, but it'll never be the same again. And that's not just a northern neck issue, that's also a BOP, USB Lewisburg issue, not taking care of it right off the bat. But, you know.
You have 1 minute remaining.
I can attest to everything else the guys say. You know, the food being complete trash, commissary prices through the roof. They went up even more after we left. You know, charging the guys. The last I heard, it was like $1.30 for a 13-cent ramen noodle soup. You know, just every little thing they do there is about making money. It's not about keeping people safe or fed, even though they're getting paid by the federal government to keep. So, you know, hopefully that for-profit hellhole will close down soon, or actually get taken over by somebody that'll run it properly. But don't have much else. Once again, just want to say thank you, Tom, for everything you do. And anybody else out there, thank you for all you do.
And thank you for Andrew. It's changed this thing, so thank you.
Yep.
Thank you for using Global Telling.
That was well done. The timing was great. Got it out before Birdie got it.
Beat her this time.
Greta.
So this thing,
She'll always be Birdie to me.
I was on that
One, hey, this is working now. It wasn't working.
You were not hearing it through this one?
No, it wasn't then.
Because I was, yeah, I don't know, but
This
will be good for our meetings. This is a new handheld, wireless that
Sounds good.
plugs
Nice,
in.
yeah. Well, so we're only witnessing that. We need to put the heat on Whitman now.
That's right.
That would be good.
And
how about we just don't vote for him again?
So he can contact us with somebody in D.C. to really get the job done. I mean, this is ridiculous.
The last time I voted for him only because Bees asked me to. And I cringed on it.
And he was the only one that was. What was your other option?
Well, that's true, but it pisses me off every time I come over here because you drive by his office and then you come across the bridge and you're here.
Yep.
Why aren't you here? Why don't you know?
He's trying to give you the mic.
I don't want it.
You don't want it. You don't want it.
I've got a Barry Ramey announcement.
Okay. Here, John.
I'm glad Barry Ramey's name came up. For those of you who've been here several times, Barry was one of my favorites. He was always well prepared. I enjoyed talking to him. He was on every vigil, I think, while he was here. The reason you haven't heard from him lately, he has gotten at his final destination in Miami. The good news is it's very close to his home in Plantation. The bad news is, as part of his agreement, he was told he cannot participate in vigils any further. So it's not that he doesn't want to, it's that he's not allowed to. And I would also like to say that over the last couple of years, he sent me extensive documentation, as has Chris Quagman, by the way. I have some of the things that he referenced earlier. But the main reason I wanted to borrow the mic here, I got a text message from his fiancee, Desiree, earlier. Today is Barry's birthday. So can we have a big happy birthday?
Happy birthday! I believe he's 40. I think he turned 40.
I've just been told that it's the magic 40.
I think.
A number I can barely remember. But anyway, I'll turn it back over to an adult.
Well, I just saw also Mason Corson's mom posted something that it was his birthday. I lost the feed, but I think he's 29. But I'm not sure if that was today or yesterday. It just came across my phone. I lost it. So it's another one. And
some of the best years of his life.
Yeah.
Gone. For no apparent reason.
so
My dad says 38. That means, yep, that's about right.
So I wanted to just also say something out there to all you people that are interested in following these vigils. Go to the D.C. courthouse. Drive on up there. It's 2.5 hours from here. I often do it in a day and back. Go up and back. Sometimes I'll stay over. But go into that courtroom. It's no worse than going through the metal detector at the airport. It's actually simpler, quicker. And you go in and you can find your way around to the various courtrooms, and I would check the DC court schedule, and you can look for the J6er names of who's going to be coming up, whether it's their jury trial, bench trial, or sentencing. And it's fascinating. I've sat through, I think, 4 sentencings and several trials, and James Grant didn't.
Prepaid call from Lyndon Fellows. An inmate at the Washington, D.C. Central Detention Facility. Your current balance is $85.01. This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using Global Tellink.
Mike just, I don't think that's his name. Sweet, that's awesome. How's the temperature out there? Haven't been outside in over.
It just. We're losing? No, I don't think so. Are you there? Brandon?
Hello? This did this to me before. The call's still connected, but he's not there.
In a moment, it'll hang up on you because it's not.
Brandon, we can't hear you. I didn't do anything either. I didn't touch anything. Yeah.
Maybe he hears you because they just call back.
He might have actually.
He can't call back. He can't call back. 15 minutes. Something I learned while transcribing Christopher Cloglin's statements. He called twice last night, 15 minutes, and then took a 15-minute break, and then he called another game for 15 minutes.
He told me I had a marathon, what, about a year ago? I forget who it was, he called Morse. Robert Morse called us. And they had that transcript. It's the one that you had to leave at the end for work call. Anyway, we went, it must have been well over an hour. I still got all those notes.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yeah, I don't know how they managed to do all that.
So I'm kind of surprised that these guys, because just a few weeks ago they were saying that.
Well, hopefully that's it. Ooh.
An inmate at the Washington, D.C. Central Detention Facility. To accept this call, press 84.78. This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using Global Tel-Link.
Hey, Tom.
Yeah.
This is Brandon again. I can't call you back on the other one. The tablet randomly turned off like the first sentence we had. Hopefully it doesn't happen again.
Yeah, same here. Okay, good. Go ahead.
Sorry, yeah, no, I was asking how the temperature is out there because I haven't been outside in about probably a month or two.
Yeah, it's really nice. It was 78 degrees today. It's just a beautiful evening. The moon is almost full. It's the Hunter's moon.
Nice.
Yeah, Hunter's moon.
Gotcha. That's awesome. Yeah, so I haven't checked in with you guys for a bit. I'm still in that post-trial limbo. Just waiting sentencing, but I'm trying to postpone it a little bit longer because I got the same terrible standby counsel that just came on. He's like a mosquito. He won't go away. I fired him, and he's back on my case somehow, and I didn't even ask for him. So they put him back on my case for this. Yeah. He said the questions that I prepared to ask the Capitol Police, I told him make sure that I have it in a paper version, like send it to the jail. He posted publicly along with a whole bunch of other stuff, basically my entire plan as a motion, which it wasn't a motion, and then the prosecutors get to see it right before trial. I couldn't believe it when I heard about that. I was like, oh my goodness. So he's back on my case. Yeah.
Wow.
Aside from that, yeah. Last time I talked to you, I think it was the 1-year anniversary of Northern Next Vigil.
Yep.
So pretty cool. Guys are still going strong. Any news since then?
Nothing new to report, but there's just 2 months left in the tenure of Superintendent Ted Hall, and we're going to make it a very interesting last couple of monthly board meetings for him. So thank you guys for the stories and giving us the ammo we need.
Yeah, no, I wish I could, give you guys a lot of the notes that I took. I figured I'd be out by now. I said, these crazy people won't really keep me in for 3 years for taking 2 hits of weed inside the Capitol with no criminal history, but they are crazy enough. So I'm hoping I'd be out by now. to be able to share the notes with you that I took of the times I saw attacks, who I saw attack, who, where it was. But eventually I'll get that stuff to you. It's just, I'm still in here.
All right.
At least in my part, so, yeah.
Well, and that's...
go ahead.
That's great news, because there's a lot of that information that is going to come out, and we're telling these people about it here too, and giving them fair warning. So, be prepared. If you look the other way all these years, sorry, enough of that. That's over with.
Yeah, it was interesting too. So occasionally, just like I did at Northern Neck, a lot of people didn't actually know that the D.C. area had a vigil. A lot of the January 6th events. I started telling them about it, and then I also helped write a lot of articles for these people. And I haven't done that in a while because I've been doing my own thing. But yesterday night I was reading a new guy that just came in from Illinois, and I was reading his first rough draft of an article, and it was talking about his experience at Northern Neck, and I was like, oh man, sometimes I just kind of forget about how terrible it was. He talked about how dirty it was, how the guards didn't care about anything. They just were they didn't care about your health. They didn't care about anything in relation to you. Worse than a dog. And sometimes I just forget how terrible my time over there was, because it's just, I'm kind of in the moment, I'm just living day by day here. But reading that stuff, I'm like, oh yeah, man, that place really was terrible. So I lived it. I literally actually it's funny. Somebody thought my glasses were broken because I did a quick wrestling match with somebody here, and they thought my glasses got broken by that guy. And I was like, oh no, don't worry, those have been broken ever since the guard smashed my face against the door at Northern Neck. And he just looked at me strange, as if that was awkward, and I didn't even realize, yeah, that actually is kind of, I say it oh, it just happened, like it's normal. But I mean, he gave me a look of what you should look like. Oh wait, that's not cool, dude. I'm like, yeah, I guess it's not cool. So I normalized it because Northern Neck is just so terrible.
Wow.
So, yeah. Still got the broken glasses today, thanks to Lieutenant Ball and Corporal Laws. So, thank you to them.
It's a reminder, it's like a badge of honor, I guess, in some way, you know what I mean? So.
Yeah. So, anyhow, so I don't really have much besides that to say. I just, I want to apologize. I know you guys are out there, and I've said this before, sometimes I think some in the January 6th community takes the vigils for granted. For a long time we didn't have vigils outside there talking about the conditions of the jails that we've been to, but Northern Neck was the worst of them all, and we've definitely been through some rough jails. But I want to thank you guys and apologize, at least on my end, for not calling you guys more frequently. I typically suck with communication, so I still want to thank you guys for being out there and doing what you guys are doing.
Hey, listen, we're happy to hear from you whenever you can, man. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, guys. All right. So that's all I got for you. So thank you guys again. Have a good night.
God bless you. We'll see you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. All right, bye.
So a guy from Illinois shows up at the DC jail, having been through Northern Neck, and he's writing an article about it for public consumption. Nice. We didn't get his name.
No, he didn't say it.
That's probably for safety precautions.
Yeah, but it's another one.
Mm-hmm. So I'll text Riley Woodman tomorrow and get him to set up some meeting. You gotta talk to somebody in DC. Something's gotta be done. All the witness and evidence and nothing's going. You know what I'm saying? Well, you gotta get done for English, and President Hall retires in December. He should not retire. Or he's got the way he's done. English sure shouldn't get another. Both should be fired. They need to get it in quick, get it done.
So, if you're going to talk to Rob, tell him when he's in D.C. to go on down to Freedom Corner at 7 o'clock every evening, any evening of the week. Go over there and talk to the gang down there and listen to these men calling out. He's welcome to come here any Friday evening because we're going to be here.
Oh, good, okay.
You know what I mean?
The Mansion children asked him why he hadn't been to a vigil, and he said, do you know my schedule? I don't get home until 11. I don't get home till 11.
Really? Really?
Well, you have to take a day. You get here on time. Well, then it's DC at 7.
And he has weeks off at a time.
Uh-huh.
Weeks.
So is he above the guy that's in charge here? Is that the next chain of command?
No, it's just he's the local representative, but
With an office around. We're going to drive past his office when we go home. I'll point it out to you so you can be mad too.
Is that nice?
do you have all the callers? Somebody's asking the question.
Yeah.
Who all called tonight? You have it written down?
Pick up a microphone and read it.
No, go right
She
ahead.
can just say it right here. Hey, Jericho, got your question.
Okay.
Who were the callers? Cheryl's going to read them.
We started off with Christopher Quaglin, then James Grant, then Zachary Alam, and then Chris Quaglin came back again. And then Brian Jackson came to kind of talk a bit. Curtis Tate, Andrew Taki, and Brandon Fellows.
Perfect. Thank you.
Look at the screen.
What do you want to know?
How?
She's going to get a text response if she read it.
Yeah, maybe. They come up from the bottom typically. I think that's.
John, that's why we need to go back. How about the Jim Jordan somebody? I mean, somebody's got to do something, you know what I'm saying? Nothing being done, and the time parties don't get it.
I don't think Rob Whitman is a worthy hiker.
Hi.
No, he's close in contact with the right person to get it done. Check into it. Somebody's got to do something.
Well,
You know, it goes on and on and on. All these witnesses.
yep.
Go to the board, and the board's no good.
Well, one of the things I've learned recently is that just because Rob Whitman is the one in your district doesn't mean the others won't listen to you.
Right.
And Rob Whitman is deaf as they come.
Well, let's not count him out. I think that it's the frog in the teapot, or the kettle kind of thing. We got to keep turning up the heat here a little bit because John said it earlier. This information is coming out.
It is.
You know, we're going to be relaying information here over the next couple of board meetings, but it's the other stuff that's happening. It's the Steve Baker, it's the Tariq Johnson, it's all the people. It's the
Trump
subpoenas that are going to be put out for people to appear before Congress. You know, I think that's what's going to happen now with finally getting the speaker back in.
Can the listeners hear us without the microphone?
I don't know.
Oh, go ahead. Well, I think Paul's coming.
Yeah, you could try that. It'll take a minute.
I was going to fill in, but there's a call coming in now. I was going to address some of the discussion about our elected representatives, but as I say, a call's coming in, so I'm going to get off.
We're down to 3410.
Is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using Global Tellink.
Hello.
Hey guys, I figured we had a little bit of time to kill. Of course, I didn't realize what time it was, so we're gonna have to call you back one more time because of the anthem. But I didn't know if you guys wanted like individual stories. What I can tell you about the medical is that I wasn't using the bathroom because, or not using it, but not going to the bathroom because I was all bound up because they had given me weed. They cut the water off on me for 4 days. I wasn't able to use the sink. I couldn't flush the toilet. I couldn't do anything. Finally, my body, reset, and I was able to use the bathroom number 2. But and then they finally let me shower as a reward. That was the first time. That happened again, and they brought me into, well, actually, then there was a handcuff situation. They told me I was going to medical. It was Jet, who was actually a nephew or something of one of the founders or whatever of Northern Neck. He's on the board. So he told me, hey, you're going to medical, whatever. And I set up, like, I pulled all my stuff out of my, out of my cell, and I set it up to the front door. Well, I sat there for about, what's going on? Then 10:30 or 11, whatever, we get locked down came. And they said, well, you're out of your cell now. You're going to the hole now. I said, you guys got to be kidding me. So they handcuffed me. Then Jet left me out in between A, B, and C pod. There's like a little locked area there. He left me there, but he handcuffed me behind my back and then used the shackles, the speed shackles, and chained me behind my back to the bar. Now, there was nowhere else where I could go. I could only go within 10 feet, you know what I mean? But he thought it would be fun, I guess. So he basically chained me up there like a dog. He left me there for about 45 minutes, an hour. I got into it with one of the COs because I didn't start this, but he said, grab your stuff. And I said, dude, my arms are absolutely numb. I said, I've been handcuffed behind my back for over an hour. At first, you're not even supposed to do that, but, whatever. I said, my hands are numb. I said, dude, come on, just drag my stuff. Well, I'm not dragging it. So then they brought me up to booking, where they decided I was going to stay overnight. They threw me into a cell. I asked for my second mat because I have a bottom second mat pass because I have herniated disc. Well, go in first and then get your handcuffs off, then we'll give you a second mat. Which didn't make any sense. I said, no, just come on, guys, just give me my second mat. Just go get my property, please, so I can eat something, And they said, well, screw him. If you won't take his handcuffs off, then screw him. Fuck him. Actually, excuse my French, but that's what they said. Someone said that, and they said, screw him, leave him there. Well, they did. They left me there. They left me there for about 8 hours. Handcuffed behind my back. At that point, one of the lieutenants came around, realized that I was still handcuffed behind my back, and he caused all sorts of hell. I'm sure it was swept under the rug. Then later on, they said, oh, you're going to medical because of your shoulder. At this point, my shoulder had been popping out of place and stuff like that. So they said, come on, you're going to medical because of your shoulder. They locked me in medical without a phone, without any of my property, without anything. No phone, no TV, no nothing. For weeks. Then I wasn't eating the food at that point because I was getting sick. Now I'm there for medical observation. I never saw Dr. Dudley for weeks. So how am I there for medical observation if I'm living off the commissary? You know what I'm doing. I'm living off commissary. I'm there for medical observation. Fine. Then I was still only allowed showers every or two times a week for some reason. At that time, they said, oh, well, you have an old charge. They took away my commissary. Then I didn't eat anything, or I actually rationed my commissary down to about 300-400 calories a day. For 2 weeks that happened, or a week and a half that happened. Then they said, oh, by the way, you're going in the hole. So then they took me out of the videotape cell, and they moved me next door into the cell that had the TV, which they didn't allow to be turned on, but didn't have a videotape on. So now they said I'm still there under medical, or for medical reasons, but they took away my commissary for over 2 weeks. That's when the FBI, that's actually exactly when the FBI came, the marshals came, and did a full sweep of the jail. That's when I was asked to do my to do or sign for a stipulated trial, not stipulated trial, a bench trial. So all that time I was being absolutely tortured. The little food that I was eating was taken away from me. What's his face? Rob Morris can tell you, along with Albuquerque, they can tell you that they heard the marshals screaming at English through the door. I don't care what it is, get him to eat. Get him to eat. So obviously they were talking about me. Of course they did the marshals just happened to do the full inspection. What day? The one day that I was in Washington, D.C. So this is all, they know about stuff. You know what I mean? There's emails that were sent back and forth in between the marshals and in between Northern Neck. Everyone knows that the marshals use Northern Neck as the just throw them there and forget about them place. It's in the middle of nowhere. You know what I mean? There's not the marshals love Northern Neck because they pick them up and drop them off like cattle. That's why they love Northern Neck. But with that being said, those are the three incidents that really stuck out. Besides the multiple HIPAA violations, but you guys just got to get it. Hey John, please get in touch with John Gross, and I give you permission. I know you guys are recording this, John. I give you permission. Tell John Gross to give you all of my my files,
Yeah, Chris,
all of my paperwork.
Chris, this is John. I've been corresponding with Jonathan regularly, but I have not updated him lately. And I have sent him some information, some of which is in the current edition. But I will contact him again, make sure he knows what I sent him. Anyway, I'll coordinate with him, but I've got all his contact information. We have been working, but I'll increase my efforts.
Yeah, just if you get, once you start diving into my paperwork, now there's a lot of, I won't call it fluff, but there's a lot of nonsense in there. But you really just got to start looking at what I can eat. I won't call it a hunger strike because I was getting sick. So Sills, who actually has a sister who has a peanut allergy, was working in the kitchen. He can verify all of the roaches, and then he can also verify that my tray was going through the line last. My tray should have gone through the line first, because that way, they only have whatever. I don't want to say it as time, but they're very, very rushed. So everyone's grabbing food and tossing it and grabbing and digging in here and digging in there and digging in here, and food's getting cross-contaminated.
Yeah,
so I said, guys,
yeah, Chris, I have been in touch with Jeffries, and he has verified everything you told me. Also, I do have some of your notes that I got earlier, but not all of them. So I will get the remainder, but yes, I've already verified that with Jeffries Hills.
Yeah, like I said, there's really good stuff in there, but then you got to look at like the food. And then it's really like the meat and potatoes is the food, the beatings, the HIPAA violations. Look at August of 22, 22. August of 22. That's a big one. That's huge. They locked me in medical for over a month in solitary confinement. The last week I had a TV. And then the first 3 weeks that I was there when they gave me, everything else. But anyway, James Grant had one more thing that he just wanted to say. Clarify. Sorry about that. I didn't mean to talk your guys' ear off.
I was listening too. I've been listening the whole time. But yeah, I just wanted to clarify the point of the story that I went to Suicide Watch on. The whole point of that story was that
things just like aspirin or Tylenol are so hard to come by in Northern Neck that you just pretty much live and suffer with a headache. And that story was to help illustrate how I was just in the cell dying. And I remember, oh my God, I was just dying in the cell in like so much pain that I went to suicide watch, and I don't regret it. And it was colder in there, but of course then you lay on a steel rack without a mattress, a blanket, anything in a turtle suit. But I was able to, and it's filthy. There's hairs everywhere. But I was able to find a spot, mostly away from the hairs and all the any leftover stuff, and I was able to kind of freezing. It was really cold in there, which did eventually help my headache. But yeah, their lack of medication there in Northern Neck was so created such a drastic set of circumstances that I literally had to check myself out to suicide watch to try to alleviate my headache. They will not prescribe, like here, even in DC, which is much maligned as a terrible jail, they'll give you Tylenol, they'll give you ibuprofen if you ask. Sick call, you're seen the next day. I'm sure you guys know by now, Northern Neck does not work like that. You have to put about 5 in, and then you might get seen. I mean, if you have an issue, you're going to have to figure it out on your own, basically, what's going on. So if you're like myself, and you suffer from headaches or migraines or anything like that, it's hell. You're going to be in hell. You're going to, my particular headaches, if you catch them early, I'm kind of all right. But, when you get a bad headache, you just let it run. You're not alive during those moments. I mean, you're just in hell. And that, oh God, yeah. Getting a headache in Northern Neck was, it wasn't a death sentence, but it felt like one. And yeah, again, I don't know if you guys are collecting data and information, but my lawyer Robert Feitel can attest to that email that they had at Ted Hall saying, "Oh, he thinks it's bad now, or he's not going to realize how," something to that effect. So yeah, I just want to clarify that. It's hard too, Tom, when you call up to think about what terrible thing about Northern Neck to talk about in specific. Parts of every jail, but it was quite literally everything with Northern Neck. Someone mentioned, tell them about the toilet paper. You get one roll of toilet paper to last you the entire week, and it's not like a standard roll that might have a lot on it. It does not have much on it at all. I would have preferred they give us one ply to give us more. It was just, you routinely run out, and there would be a black market. It was generally one.
You have 1 minute remaining.
Yeah, generally one soup would buy you one roll of toilet paper, and a lot of the guys who didn't have commissary were able to afford theirs, I guess taking less craps than the rest of us to try to hoard toilet paper so that they could resell it later. But that was something, if you used a reasonable amount of toilet paper, you were not going to last the entire week. And soap, $2 for a bar of soap. The Indigent pack soap is tiny. The whole system, if you're in, it's a mess. But yeah, just the point there too is, which terrible thing do you talk about? And seems like we never run out of terrible things to talk about with Northern Neck. But I'm going to talk to Chris. So if you guys want any of that documentation from my lawyer about how Ted Hall had a leaked email that said something to that effect, I can definitely provide that. But thank you guys for showing up, and we appreciate it. Chris says he's going to call back because of the anthem.
All right.
Thank you for using
Wow, man.
I don't know that I've heard the toilet paper story before.
Yeah, I haven't talked to that Feitel yet, so I would like to hear his.
I thought that Samson told that story once. About the toilet paper.
I know it's been said before. I don't know who said it.
As far as Samsel, what you might be thinking is his first beating, which was at the DC Gulag. That was the reason they beat him. He was asking for toilet paper, and it got on their nerves.
Yeah, okay.
So that may be what you're alluding to.
That might be it. I think that might have been it.
Well, there was also the famous Brandon Fellows tale, where he was constipated and kept complaining, and they said they were going to beat the crap out of him. He says, well, that may help. And unfortunately, they then proceeded to beat something out of him. And that's the incident he was just talking about with Laws and Ball. Another cute factoid, one of the other, and I think I've brought this up before, one of the other COs in there was fired from the Richmond County Sheriff's Department for being physically abusive. And anyway, he's continued his profession here. Mr. Yerby is his name.
Really? Wow. Wonderful.
This on the board is Smith and the sheriff from Northumberland County. It's really interesting to see anything done. Now Westmoreland, we got election coming up. Sheriff Nathan Thompson. I've been working him, taking him door to door for the last few months, and he can allow a good response back too. But C.O. Boston ain't doing nothing for being on that board. He's on the board. And Norman Sabe, administrator, he should kind of do something as well.
Norman Sabe is the godfather of the regional jail.
So we'll get rid of him and get a new person in and hope we can get something done. Just correct it. But Dan, what we gotta do is go with DC, man, and get this all this witnesses come forth now. Evidence we got, get something done. Guys can be counted for all in English. And not get by if they're doing what they have done. Totally wrong.
At the Washington, D.C. Central Detention Facility. To accept this call, press 0. Your current balance is $82.40. This call is from a correction facility and is subject to monitoring and recording. Thank you for using Global Tel-Link.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hey, Tom, I'm gonna pass it off to Quaglin. He's gonna set you guys up for the national anthem.
All right, thank you.
Yep, for time.
Wow, that was a pretty good intro right there. In reality, I'm just walking over 15 feet or hobbling over 15 minutes, but we're about ready to go.
All right, awesome.
hopefully we have less than 15 months or 15 months left. So.
Yes, indeed. Thank you so much, Chris. Thanks for organizing things tonight too.
Absolutely. I tried. Sorry about the technical difficulties.
Hey, it's all good. All right, listen, you have a great rest of your evening, man, and God bless you, Chris.
Yep. You guys do the same. Thank you so much, and God bless you.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.
Thank you for using Global Tel Link.
Young Heather, how
Yes.
are you? Did I have that backwards? Young Heather.
I've been called worse.
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
There, you need some papers, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I've got some.
All right.
Y'all need any extra papers while you're
No,
here?
I've still got plenty in my
Good.
back seat.
Okay. How do you think the election's going to go down there?
$2 bar of soap
I don't know.
and $1.20 ramen noodles.
The boyfriend
Handcuffed
and
for
I have
98
been
hours.
talking about it, and he's like,
All right,
"I think
people.
this person
Thanks for tuning in.
won it, and
Love you all.
it's fraud." And I'm like, okay.
Keep the
it's
faith.
considered This person might win it, and it might also be through fraud. I
How you
don't
been?
know that,
Fine, you?
but
Good.